Hey, what's going on, fellow YouTube people? Um, Ian here, aka EY, on my channel, or at least I think that's what I'm going to call it. I'll get right to the point. Basically, I've been searching on the internet. I own a Nissan 370Z Nismo edition, and for the longest time, I was trying to figure out a way I could integrate an iPad into this cubby hole here. For all you 370Z owners, you'll know that, if you don't have the navigation panel, there's a little cubby hole that is pretty much pointless. You can put your sunglasses in there if you want. So I was tried doing some research on some 370Z forums. I've been reading people were kind of trying to customize their tablet into this cubby hole here. So I went ahead and I did that. Keep in mind, this is a new project. It's kind of rough, but it seems to work for me. So I figured I'd pass along the information and tell you how I did it as best as I can with, the dashes already. I already put the dash together, but I'll try to go into detail about how I did it, and I'll make it quick. So to start off, I went ahead and I upgraded the head unit. I've got here. I'll go ahead and went ahead and bought a JVC, I think KX-AV61BT model.
To the extent that you say.
That was my first step. My goal was to have this as my main head unit. I've got a USB wire, which has the Apple Lightning cable running from the back of this unit up through the back of the dash out this hole here. This is an authentic Apple cable. Be careful what you buy on Amazon. Some of these are fakes, and it'll cause your iTunes track not to play. So basically what I did, first off, I had to take off the cubby hole. This required removing this whole panel and then coming at it to remove the cubby from the back. So that was my first step. The next step was I needed to figure out what fit. Well, I've got an iPad Mini Retina here that, if you look here, fits perfectly in where the cubby would go. So the first thing I had to consider was how in the world was I going to mount it. So after reading online and stuff, I kind of came to a solution to where magnets were the best way to keep this onto here, even when I was driving. As you'll see, some people are like, "Oh my God, you're using magnets on the back of your iPad. What in the hell's wrong with you?" These are solid state drives on the iPads. There's no internal working parts, like on normal computers. So I think neodymium, I think that's the name of the magnets. You can buy them at Home Depot. Shouldn't affect them. I could be wrong, but from all the research I did, I should be okay, and I haven't experienced any problems yet. So magnets was the way I was going to go. So how do I apply this in here? Well, first off, you need to, what I did was I went on Amazon, bought a cheap case, like this cheap case here. It was 20 bucks. It works perfectly. This case helps fill out just a little of the little spaces that you have here. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. I get thumbs up from people all the time. So how did I do it? What I did was, when you have this hole, for all you 370Z owners, I'm sure you all know how to remove this whole panel here. Well, on the back, I had to figure out a way to mount this iPad. So what I did was I glued, you can see the holes where I drilled. I mounted magnets here, and here, and I actually think I mounted a magnet right underneath of it, just to kind of give it a little bit more adhesion, I guess if that's a word, when I put the iPad in there. So just use some super glue. it worked perfect. It was a little crazy trying to keep the magnets from kind of attracting themselves to the others. So I just used a pair of needle nose pliers, pressed them down. Keep in mind this is on the obviously on the back side, but once the super glue cured, they were good. One important note: make sure your polarity is accurate, because nothing. And I made this mistake on a couple. You're trying to put the iPad into the dash and it's wanting to not stick. Well, that's because the polarity was, I think, a negative and a negative were in combining, which creates separation. So magnet, you can see here, I drilled these just so I could have a marker. You know, it's not clean, not flush, but whatever. So 1, 2, 3 magnet here, same deal here. One magnet here, one magnet here, one magnet here, and then one magnet on the back here. Again, magnet size. This is the magnet size. I don't know, I guess about as big as a quarter. You can buy them at Home Depot. I think they're like $5 a pack or something. So that's step one. Step two was, and this was the craziest part, I had to figure out how in the world I was going to run this wire from the back of my head unit up and have it come out here. Well, seems easy, but once you take this whole panel off, you'll see there's not really any room because of the heater vent to run this wire. I mean, you can run it, but this lightning port, basically, when it gets pushed in, there's really not too much room for it to travel. So it sticks out a little bit, and you'll see later in my video when I set everything up. But what I did, I used a Dremel tool. God, the lighting is not that good, but hopefully you can see that it's kind of it's not a circle, but I would say more of an egg shape to allow this cable to pull through. I never have any issues with it going back down into the dash, so that seemed to be pretty good. Also, on the back of this display here, I used a Dremel, and I tried to trim off as much as I could on the back side to allow this to go back in here. It was a little dicey. The lighting's bad, but right in here I got it's really thin plastic, and I dremeled all the way to where you can kind of see some ugly marks on the inside of the heater vent. So another watch out. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Now's to the point to where you've been waiting for. I might have to put my phone down, but I'm going to hook this up and I'll show you what it looks like. But obviously, oh, also one more thing too. I have my button here for my iPad mini. It connects in this way. So make sure, if you're looking at the back of the iPad, that's how I had my magnets. Again, this is very rough. I'm trying to figure out a way to make this not look ghetto. But make sure the magnets I had here, it seems to be a pretty good fit. Even when I'm driving, you know, as you know, these cars will jar you to death on the expressway. Hasn't come loose once. So just a little super glue, some magnets should do the trick. So let's hook this bad boy up. I'm going to put this down real quick. Okay, so I've hooked the iPad in to the wire. For some reason it doesn't charge. It charges when I'm in accessory, but when I start my car it's not charging. So it didn't do that when I had my iPhone hooked up to it. So don't know what's up with there. So all you got to do is slide this back. See, there's just a little bit of space there, but boom, there it is. Let me zoom out so you can see. All right, and one cool little feature too is, you know, this head unit is running off my iTunes library from the iPad Mini. So I'm on Wi-Fi. That's why you can. But this is a jailbroken app, so I went in and kind of changed up the view a little bit to kind of give it a cleaner look. I'm also running. I've got a Wi-Fi dongle or whatever you call it underneath here, so that allows me to. Let me turn this on. It's an OBD2 port, which allows me to download the Dash Command app and run this. You know, it's a pretty cool little feature. Actually, I'm already set up. So here's the Dash Command app. Pretty cool, huh? And then I have I customized the gauges to make it go better with the 370 interior. So let's get on to the music. There's my iTunes library. I get compliments on this all the time. I downloaded an app called LED Music. Well, that says LED Music, that little equalizer icon there. I think it was free. So normally what I do is I'm playing a song here. This is coming from my iTunes catalog. And if I press this, you get a little, you've got this display here. I think it's pretty cool. People trip out about that all the time. So yeah, pretty flush. I'll run through. You can kind of see. There's still the felt right here that you can see, but I thought I was going to try to have to fabricate a metal piece to kind of hide that, but in all actuality, it really doesn't look too bad at all. You can see just a little bit of gap, but that's because this lightning adapter can't push all the way back because of the thin clearance here. But over on this other side, you can see it's about as well. It's not perfect, but it'll get the job done. You can see. You just gotta slide it in place. Make sure you get that in the hole, and then there you go. So that's my iPad install, my winter project. I know people do all sorts of tablets, but I'm telling you, the iPad Mini, I think the iPad Mini and the iPad Mini Retinas, I think, is about the same size. This is a Retina, but it's a perfect fit. So, and if I ever want to take it back up to the house and do it, I can just take it right back out and unplug it, and I'm good. So hopefully for all you 370Z owners, there's really not that much information out there. Well, there is, but not really for iPad Mini, especially video. So I figured I'd show you guys what I did, and hopefully you guys can replicate and do the same thing. I love the car, but every time people see this, especially at nighttime, I'll have the windows down or something, and somebody will pull up and ask me what kind of sound system I have. I've got an amp and a sub and everything. I got a pretty good sound system too, but I'm an old guy, so I can't really, bump down the street anymore like I used to. I guess older guy. 30. So that's it. All right, guys. I'll try to stay on top of comments, but if you got any questions, I'll do all I can to answer them. Like I said, I wish I would have done this when this dash was off, just to show you kind of the trimming I had to do with the Dremel. But trust me, the Dremel bit will be your friend, and that'll allow you to get this little lightning adapter ran. All right, guys. Thanks for your time, and I'll talk to you guys later.